everyone, it's me, John Lorden, here with another episode of Brain Scratch Case Cracked. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here today. This is a case that led to an arrest just earlier this month, March of 2017. So far, it looks like 2017 is a pretty good year for cases getting cracked, so let's hope that continues. We're now jumping into the case of Fred Laster. June of 1994. Fred Paul Laster was 16 years old. He sang and played guitar in a band at Jacksonville Beach and lived with his grandmother in neighboring small town Yulee after his mother had passed away. Family and friends simply called him Freddie. Freddie's family attended Strength for Living Church regularly throughout the 90s. The youth pastor, Ronnie Leon Hyde, would counsel youth, helping them with their problems, and he also liked to play in the church band. He even occasionally lived in the church band's bus behind the church until around 1993 when he finally purchased a home in Jacksonville Beach. He was close with Freddie and several of his siblings, often picking them up to bring them to church events. Freddie had talked about his band going on tour someday, and when he disappeared for several months during the summer of 1994, his family thought that's exactly what had happened. June 5th, 1994. A woman walking her dog near a BP gas station in Lake City found the remains of a young man next to a dumpster. He had been dismembered. Little more was left than his torso, which appeared as if it had been washed. Law enforcement would not be able to confirm his identity. He was listed as a John Doe. The coroner identified him simply as a healthy male between the ages of 16 and 19 years old. 2 kitchen knives, a blood-soaked mattress cover, bath mats, non-slip bathtub adhesives, and a flannel shirt were all found in the dumpster. And that flannel shirt would hold the key to cracking this case, if they could ever figure out who the victim was. February 17th, 1995. Freddie's sister, Dawn Williams, which is her married name, would finally file a missing persons report on her younger brother with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. No one would connect that the body found 8 months prior was actually Freddie's. Youth pastor Ronnie Hyde would become a suspect in Freddie's disappearance when the family told authorities the last time they heard from Freddie, he was with the youth pastor. Dawn also told investigators that Ronnie kept changing his story about the last time he had seen her brother. Dawn said the last time she saw Freddie was at her apartment. He was upset and trying to convince his sister to go away with him. She refused, and Freddie told her that their youth pastor was coming to pick him up. She spoke with him one more time over the phone, and Freddie confirmed he was indeed with Ronnie Hyde. His sister said that he sounded distant and emotional. She even asked him if he was okay. Unfortunately, detectives could not find the pieces to connect Hyde to Freddie's disappearance, and the case would eventually go cold. 2010, the flannel shirt would be resubmitted for further analysis. New tests would find both the victim's DNA as well as someone else's DNA on that shirt. 2014, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children created a cold case poster featuring a picture of the flannel shirt, the non-slip bathtub decals, and several details about the body's discovery. In 2015, a cousin of Freddie's, Lori Woodward, spotted that cold case poster online at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and showed it to Freddie's siblings. They all agreed that it could be a match to Freddie, and they contacted Columbia County investigators. The siblings gave DNA, and in early 2016, it was finally confirmed that the body found near the dumpster was a familial match. They had finally found Freddie. Ronnie Leon Hyde was now a licensed mental health counselor in Florida, a contract employee for a health services provider for the Department of Corrections. On April 12th of 2016, investigators took Hyde's trash and found a red cup with several Nicam nasal swabs in it. The swabs were sent for analysis, and they now had his DNA profile. On March 14th of 2016, analysis showed that it matched the DNA found on the flannel shirt that was in the dumpster, Investigators finally knew both their victim and their culprit. The flannel shirt actually belonged to Hyde's father, but authorities believe that Hyde was wearing it. Authorities also believe he used his elderly father's Camaro to dump the body. Ronnie Leon Hyde was arrested on March 7th of 2017 at his Jacksonville home and charged with murder, more than 22 years after the crime was committed. The next day, a judge set a court date as of March 29th, 2017, and denied Ronnie Hyde bail. Several years ago, Hyde had been investigated in an international child exploitation case, but no charges were filed against him. He also recently made a comment about two dead friends coming back to visit him in a dream. Are there potentially more victims? The FBI said that as a counselor, Hyde likely had extensive access to other children over the years and asked of anyone who might have been victimized to please call 904-248-7000. And I've got that number also in the description box below. Freddie's immediate family has asked for privacy, but they have issued a statement. Quote, "We, the immediate family of Fred Paul Laster, have gathered together at this time to support each other as we experience the intense emotions caused by the heartbreaking loss of Freddie and the arrest of his killer. We appreciate the thoughts and prayers of the community and wish to thank our law enforcement personnel and support agencies for their diligence and perseverance in this case." Now, if you take a look at this case right now, if you do some news searching on it, you'll see that plenty of information out there about the arrest. Of course, enough information for me to weave together these details for you. But outside of that, there's also a few articles that are asking the question, why did this take so long? Why did the DNA come out so late? Why did them figuring out that this body was actually Freddie's happen so late? And there are a few kind of important things to remember about this case. First of all, his family was kind of late in terms of reporting him as a missing person. They kind of had this assumption that he was with someone that they could kind of trust, and they let it go for about 8 months before they actually reported him missing. I think that caused a weird situation in terms of the investigators that were working on this case, because when the body was found, they likely searched missing persons records, probably the most recent ones starting with, and they had nothing to connect with that body. That record would not hit their systems until 8 months later, and at that point, are they still actively working this case of this person that they don't know? How do you make that connection happen? But even more than that, some news agencies are really digging into the sheriff's office there to see if they entered this information into all the proper systems, including the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, which is a database used primarily by law enforcement. Apparently, they did enter him in there, but they're wondering if his record might have been erased once he hit the age of 18. There is also a lot of commentary going on about the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and how they really helped to bring a big piece of this puzzle to this case, and why they weren't contacted much earlier than they actually were, which is a very good question, but there's no legality, there's no rule that's saying that any sheriff's department has to contact NCMEC unless it is for the family, I believe, of a child that was in foster care and has gone missing. Then there is a requirement where those law enforcement agencies have to file it with NCMEC. But outside of that, if other children go missing, there is no requirement for them to do that. I know I've talked about it in videos before. I really wish that there was a solid process that they would just follow on this. Get that record, of course, into the NCIC, get that information to NCMEC if the age lines up with this being a youth, get that information in NamUs. There's even reporters that are looking into that angle to see when this information was put in NamUs. Was there only a record for the body or a record also for Freddie? A lot of considerations, and maybe the attention that the press is giving it, all those kind of hard questions about why this took so long, perhaps that can foster change. I know I'll be keeping my fingers crossed for it. Thank you once again for joining me here on Case Cracked. I hope you are having a good start to your week. Please be sure to come back here to the Lord and Art's channel, if I could say my own channel name properly. And I'll see you back here tomorrow with another show. Take care, everyone. See you next time.